Hi, congratulations. Thank you.
I have no way of knowing that. They think
Yeah, the agenda is literally
between
training.
implant.
Okay, that's what I thought. I don't know what that means. Yeah.
Because they go in.
I just didn't know it's like we were recording.
I
Like, are we
know,
doing
yeah.
anything. Have to be a public
And
meeting.
so.
Because we're all here.
And
Even if we're not
Dr. Coach
discussing.
By himself, he never has it.
Oh, because it's for, it's a forum.
He did the
Okay.
first three and then I'm gonna turn you. Dr. Wasik, so young
There.
man.
Okay.
Nice guy, and I just feel extremely blessed.
Yeah.
Huge.
That's good news.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, he calls me today on the
Okay.
week, and
Cool.
I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah. Hey, Shelley, did we get that agenda emailed to us? Did you email it? Okay,
I still.
Okay.
I do. Gonna go through.
all right. I'll look for it. Ah,
Christmas.
there it is.
Hey,
Thank you.
welcome. I'm Casey.
This is club soda.
Oh, that's.
I'm Shelley.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Shelley.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Great to have you.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited.
Hi, Rebecca.
Thanks, Mark.
Good to have you too.
New year, new us, right?
Yeah.
It's a new year, new us.
Yes, 100%. I know, I almost
Babies
thought
for
back.
Christmas was.
Wait, oh, did you have family come? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Hi, Jackie.
Hey.
Jackie, it's great to see you in person.
You're in person. Was the kitchen host, I was the cooker and cleaner.
Oh, my gosh. That's fun.
Sit down for 2 days. Then a little.
Can't access your details.
I'm the first and last holiday we don't.
That's fair. I know we used to Christmas
Okay.
at my house, like all my family from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they started having kids, and so now we don't, and it's surprising.
Yes.
I wish they would come out
And
with
I'm
their
gonna
kids,
add,
but I also don't mind to call.
I still want to work on.
The second it was over.
I have to do some.
He's like, I sat that go. we-
Done with that.
Next Christmas. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I can do this maybe.
Bear.
We
I got just a bunch of
for
documents.
the holiday.
Show you a few things. And I show you. So.
He told me he saw you.
Yeah.
I
love
it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be.
Is that what it was?
Thursday, Friday, I think, and then New Year's I got New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Good time.
Work at all.
But a lot of solo dad time. My wife was working a lot over the holidays and stuff, so.
Hey, Vince.
It's didn't go bad.
Time you're running outside, is it? Yeah. So you can just form the-
Oh, God. That time never gets easier.
Because we're not.
Yeah.
At least not in my household, but it's still a struggle. My youngest is 7.
You're just gonna shut it off. It will.
I don't think we've actually met yet.
I don't like it like 5 minutes.
Every day, like,
So it'll run for like 5 minutes.
I'm
It'll
the
get
weekly ones on Friday. Yeah, I'm always obsessed with it. More so than the other two times. I think this is
You
like
might do some good.
How old are your others?
18,
And then I turn.
will be 8 at the end of the month, and then 3 to.
Not ready for bed or.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that scene. Like literally, like you try to like lay down his like all of a sudden finally with your hands and they pop up.
Seriously. I swear it's like, it's fine all day and loudest when you like step over.
Yeah. Oh God. I feel.
No.
Same.
There's one moving, working the picture, so.
Oh, yeah, yeah, very notorious.
Jackie, I'd held your baby.
Huh?
Right, your baby, I'd have held your baby.
Oh, he was actually napping when I left. It was kind of nice. But I think next week I might have to bring him for actual counsel.
Just pass him
And
around.
we'll just take turns. He's so calm and just like, yeah,
I mean,
he's
so-
great.
I
I
haven't
love
met
it.
him yet.
Like, he's amazing.
But I was,
Yeah.
summer was too chaotic and.
Right.
And he
okay.
thrives in the chaos too. Like he's really good at just like calming down, sleeping. I should have brought his pants.
He asked me about that.
That's what I was gonna text him too.
He asked about it.
It's
Crazy, and I
text,
forgot.
and I was gonna ask you, like, is he gonna be here? Cause I need to bring his pen back.
Oh, I know.
Do it next week.
Full Lombard, does yours not? Yeah.
That's excellent.
Congratulations to you.
No, I mean, I worked on Christmas Eve.
That's
Then we just give our staff Christmas.
Thank you.
Nice.
I was supposed to go to San
That was great.
brother, but that didn't work out, so that was a bummer. But the bigger problem was I had a ticket to go watch the 49ers.
Oh.
Who does? If you have a certificate,
I mean,
I know.
all the 49ers didn't.
Oh.
Great. I was thinking the Seahawks. Yes.
I knew I liked you for some reason.
What just happened? You said, are you a one? You said.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
On the way down here, I was talking to my mom. She said, I really hope I was change our seating arrangement.
You're second guessing.
Now I really
Now
think we
you
should.
should.
Oh, see, I don't mind this. I don't,
Yeah, that was.
that, they're like
quite the-
close to
It
me.
was quite the beatdown.
Oh, God. The 49ers
Matters
did
got
terrible.
complicated, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
That was
Even,
not
and the
good.
score didn't even show how.
It should have been like 100 to nothing.
100%.
We
It was
were
like, this is embarrassing.
Hawks went 10-3 for like a lot. And I was like, I've never felt so comfortable with a set.
Oh, yeah.
There.
That was pretty awesome.
That was.
I'll have a thing.
That was stuff.
Oh, that's right.
It's okay.
Where she
Yeah.
was.
It always ends up here.
Yeah.
It'll work. Oh, thank you. Now I can do my job. Got to fix this. It's so. Everyone got very quiet. Okay, I think we're all here. It's the first time I've ever done this. Oh, it's so nice and quiet. It's much better. So we'll call this meeting to order. This is our special council meeting, also called council training. So thanks for everyone coming. This is our agenda. Call to order. Council meeting training, conclusion of meeting. I've been working with Mike and a little bit with other people to put together just hopefully a very informative, somewhat brief, also informal training for you so that we can, some of you are new at this, some of you have been here for a while, but I was informed that maybe only one of you has ever had a training. So thanks for being here. I appreciate your time. Mike is going to do a lot of speaking, but this is also, because it's informal, please ask questions, please dialogue as necessary. Ready? I think so. I think it's coming up. These are very basic slides. Just to guide our discussion a little bit.
And like the mayor said, this is going to be kind of informal, I think. So if you have questions, I've jotted down some notes. Some of this might seem a little basic if you've been around for a while, or if you've attended a lot of meetings. You know, if I start droning on about something that's really obvious, please just one. I'm happy to do that. All right, I guess I'll start by just kind of, oh, there we go. All right.
Oh, I have the button. I'm sorry. Here we go. This is what we're going to talk about.
There we go. parliamentary procedure, roles and purpose. I think that's talking about specific staff here with the city council rules. And then we might, I think Shelley's put together some like a sample resolution and ordinance. We kind of want to run through just sort of the procedure of how that typically works. And then at the end, the mayor wants to share with us her vision for the city going forward here. Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. Okay, parliamentary procedure. So our city council does not have a set of written rules of procedure. You probably know that. If I'm telling you that for the first time, then guess what? We don't have written rules. We've primarily gone off of past practice. And so I'm going to walk through a little bit of how that's typically occurred in the past. The fallback has always been Robert's Rules of Procedure, pretty common rules. They are a little dense, a little thick. I use cheat kind of you are old enough like me to know what cliff notes are. That's kind of what I rely on first, and then I'll dig right into the meat of it if there's ever an issue. Basically, I guess I want to back up a little bit too and remind you, these are your meetings, so you get to set the rules, right? These are council meetings, you get to set the rules. You also get to set the agenda. The mayor proposes an agenda and you can also add things to that agenda, all right? The current practice right now, as I mentioned, we have an agenda that's typically put out in advance. It'll have a lot of things like the call to order and then roll call. We'll go over minutes from prior meetings that'll be approved or not. We typically start with expenditures as well that you would vote on. Finance committee typically meets before council and goes over those. That includes anything from payroll to contract payments, vendors we have to pay for different things. Finance committee will dive into the details on that. If you have questions, this is a time you can, in the meeting where you can ask questions about specific expenditures, or alternatively, feel free to reach out to the finance department ahead of time too. It can kind of help us answer questions in advance and maybe not put Cindy or Marnie on the spot sometimes. That's always a good practice. I would say the same applies to me. I want you all to know that I'm available to all of you, not just the mayor and the administration. So when you have questions, legal questions, it could also be procedural issues. If you're wanting to do something at a council meeting, feel free, and you're not sure how to do it, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you. Since I'm a one-man shop, I don't have any other attorneys or a paralegal or anything like that. I try to stay as, my client is the city, not any individual person, not the mayor, not individual council members, not this side or that side. So I try not to jump in and put my thumb on the scales in any way. So I am not going to just jump out of my seat and say, hey, I see you want to do this. Here's a way you can go and do that. I'm not going to volunteer that. But if you have a question, come talk to me. I'm going to answer your question as fully as I can. Okay, to help you. My goal is to get to yes. When you want to do something, the way you want to achieve that goal might not be legal, but as long as I know where you want to get, then I'll try and find a way to get there so that we're playing by the rules and we're not getting sued or getting into any trouble. So that's my goal. So I talked to public comment is usually, I believe, is that typically after we do the expenditures. It's at the beginning of the meeting in any event. What we've done as a past practice is typically we have about 2 minutes per person for public comment. We don't have many other rules besides that. There are some city councils that will limit public comment to items that are actually on the agenda that day. There are some that will give more or less time. They might limit the number of people who can testify. I think the practice has typically been to allow more as opposed to less here, and to give the public an opportunity to comment on things that maybe aren't on our agenda but are important, so that you're aware of them. Okay, resolutions and ordinances. Those are the two things that you will vote on the most. And you've probably gotten some of this in your training for elected officials. If you're not aware, the biggest difference between a resolution and an ordinance is a resolution typically applies to a very specific thing, or this time, right? Like, we want your help, or we want your buy-in on a contract that we want to pass, or a new policy. We're specifically talking about this one kind of incident. An ordinance is more generally applicable. For instance, if we want to amend the Cheney Municipal Code, so we're passing new law and we're updating the code, that would be an ordinance. Procedurally, the resolutions tend to go faster. Usually we just do them all in one sitting. So it'll be typically presented by the department head that's responsible for that thing. You know, if I think maybe the example is buying new wire for the light department. Something like goods and services. Let's say it's Steve needs about, coils of wire or something. Since that falls under his department, typically he would prepare the proposal for council action in advance, along with the resolution itself. And maybe he sent it out for bids, so he will include those bids, a sheet summarizing them, and then he'll make a recommendation to the council to select, vendor XYZ, because they've got the cheapest responsive bid. That department head would typically present on it. Then we would have council discussion. And then in order for that to go up for a vote, we need one council member to make a motion to approve the resolution. We take a second. Once we have a motion and a second, then the mayor would call the question. We typically do that by voice vote, being, all in favor say aye, all opposed nay, those abstaining. And it's just kind of the mayor sort of gets, usually they're unanimous. I mean, for the most part. Gets a sense. If it's a close call, we might actually poll everybody individually, but if it passes, then the resolution is adopted, and if it fails, then it's not. Yes, please.
So in the example that you gave, is there like a certain amount of money that would bring it as a resolution? Like
that's a good question. Yeah.
Or something outside of the budget?
Right. And so if it's outside of the budget, typically the department head might ask for an adjustment to the appropriations if they need to increase the amount that that you actually budgeted for in the prior year. And if it's under $10,000, that's the threshold council has previously set to allow the mayor to sign those contracts, because there are a lot of smaller items, the day-to-day kind of stuff, that it just doesn't make sense to bring all of those in front of you. An ordinance, there's no legal requirement for this. Did you have a question?
I just
Sorry.
just to clarify something to help with that. So Shelley, also, every meeting that we come to, Cindy will give you a list of all the expenditures. So if there's something under 10,000, you'll see that on the expenditures list. So you can, when Cindy's presenting that, you could say, hey, I have a question about this item, because it won't be a resolution, but it will be an expenditure, and you can ask. You can say, hey, I noticed we bought $8,000 worth of wire. What was that for? So you can always see it that way too.
So for an ordinance, again, this is, I guess, a little more serious because we're making law of general applicability. And so the past practice of council in Cheney has been to do 3 readings. And again, those typically start with the department head making a presentation about the ordinance. If it's, we want to change the way We do public procurement or solicitations that might be a public works kind of thing. They would introduce it, kind of explain why we want to do what we're going to do in this ordinance. The 3 readings, we don't actually have Shelley sit there and we might have 100-page ordinance if we're completely rewriting a code section. She's not going to actually sit there and read the whole thing. So typically what we'll do is council will make a motion for the first reading at that first meeting in title and summary form only. So what she'll do, then you'll all vote on that, whether you want to do the first reading. Then Shelley will just literally read the title of the ordinance. And then that then it's part of the public record, right? Because it's in our council packet. It's now available for the citizens to be able to review it. And again, because these ordinances are a little more serious, they're permanent, they're generally applicable. That first reading kind of just puts it out there. That allows you to comment on it, maybe ask the department head if we can tweak some things or make some edits in between meetings. Then it comes back for a second reading. That's typically where we would get the most public comment and feedback on it. It gives you that yet another opportunity to make any revisions that you think might be necessary. And then finally, we do a third reading. And at the third, assuming that the council votes for a third reading and that goes through, after that third reading, the motion would typically be to put the bill before the council for final passage. And that's why we often have 2 votes on the same day for these things. It can be a little confusing. We get the one motion to approve the third reading, and then Shelley does her thing, and then it goes before you for final passage. And that's when the mayor will actually go down the line and we'll do it by polling, essentially. And everybody will, on the record, register their vote, yay, nay, or abstaining, if they have a conflict. That's typically how it goes. Sometimes we need these things to move through a little faster. And when that happens, oftentimes we'll still do the first reading and give it 2 weeks for the next meeting, and then maybe do the second and third. If it's something that is not controversial at all, or if it's kind of an emergency thing we need to do quickly, we'll often do the second and third reading at the same time and then vote on it. Again, I'll go back. There is no legal requirement that we do 3 readings. I think the practice again was implemented, I think, to make sure that the public just has additional time to consider it and provide you with feedback and comment. A lot of cities do 2 readings. If we were to go to a 2 reading model, you would still have flexibility. What would typically happen in that circumstance is, instead of voting to do the second reading, somebody could make a motion to table it and hold it over for the next meeting, essentially, just to not call the question itself. So it's your council, it's your rules, whatever you guys want to do, we can make it happen. The last thing I had in my notes for procedure is executive sessions. There's closed sessions and executive sessions. Both of those just mean you guys are going to meet outside of the public view. The OPMA generally requires that anytime there's a quorum of members present and you're discussing city business, it has to be in public. And that decisions be made in public, not in private. There are exceptions. A closed session is one we can do, for instance, when we're talking about labor contracts. Those are being negotiated by the mayor, myself, whoever's on the negotiating team, and we might want to get some feedback from you, because ultimately, before we can agree to it, council's going to have to vote on it. That might be a situation where we want to talk to you in private about it, so that we're not tipping our hand to the other side, right? Or there might be just sensitive issues involved in that negotiation. Executive sessions are statutory. They allow us, again, to go into a closed session. Where typically I would be there, especially if it's going to be a legal matter involved. I have to be there if it's a legal matter in order to go into an executive session. We also do those if we're looking at purchasing or selling real estate and we want to set the value. For instance, there's a parcel of land we want to get. We're willing to pay up to $200,000 to get it, but we don't want the seller to know that we're willing to pay $200,000 for it. So we'll give the mayor some flexibility, saying we get a kind of a general consensus that this is the amount we're willing to pay for it. And then the mayor's free to negotiate and try to get the best deal for the taxpayers. So, executive sessions, the most important rule of executive session is we don't talk about executive session, right? When we leave. That's statutory. And not to fearmonger, but like individual members who speak about what is discussed in executive session outside could be personally fined and liable. It also could end up reversing some of the actions that we end up taking. And most importantly for me, and then where I'm concerned, if it's a legal matter, is it could result in waiving attorney-client privilege. If I'm discussing a sensitive legal issue with you, some litigation that's come before the city, if that gets out of executive session, we may have entirely waived the privilege. Meaning any conversations I've had with you or with the mayor could potentially be waived. So it's super serious that when we do have those discussions that we not talk out of school on those things. Any questions about procedures and stuff? There's a lot more nuance. Yeah.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
When there's public comment, are we able to ask questions? Or is that truly reserved for them to just have 2 minutes and we just sit here and say?
The way we've done it typically is it's just an opportunity for them to communicate to council. Sometimes people get up here and they don't understand the process and they might say, you know, tell me why you did this. I want answers. That's not the purpose of public comment. You don't have to say anything at all. If you want to respond, you can, but that's not been our practice of doing things. It's just an opportunity for them to communicate to the council. I know what has often happened when somebody's raised something during public comment and a council member wants to respond in some way, typically wait till the end of the meeting when we do council updates and comments as a time. And you can do what you want. For me, sometimes if somebody says something that upsets me, it's not a bad thing for me to wait 30 minutes before I respond. So up to you. Any more questions about how we currently do things?
You may just touch on informational items.
Yeah. Oftentimes informational item kind of speaks for itself. There might be a project. We want to update the council on the status of the aquatic facility or whatever it might be. Staff members will often want to just present you with information, but we're not asking for action on it at that time.
Next council, we have an outside.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an opportunity for maybe our partner.
Yeah.
And it's also common practice if we're negotiating a collective bargaining agreement, bring that forth as an informational item.
Good point.
Before we see it as a.
Yeah, and that can get a little tricky too, because although you're gonna have the final say on those collective bargaining agreements, it's not council's role to negotiate them. And so you just have to be a little careful with the phrasing on things, as opposed to saying, you know, we will not do this unless they do that. Like, or you must go back to the table and tell them, no, it's not going to be 4%. It's going to be 3%. The better practice is for you to kind of let me or the mayor or whomever know, hey, why don't you go back and see what they think about this? Or what if this? And then that's a good way for us to kind of go back and communicate and try to negotiate it. Because typically if they're going to give something up, they're going to want something in return. And again, if it's a real sensitive kind of issue, or if it's something that we don't want to be communicating with the labor group about or the public about, then those labor negotiations, we could go into closed session to talk about those things too. So.
No, I think you might just have to click on the slideshow.
And then one last, so that's the way we do things. And I know I've been going on too long. I did want to talk about written rules.
Mike,
Go
can I
ahead.
ask a couple? Great. Can you talk just a little bit about what the parameters would be for why, as a city council member, we would need to abstain from a vote?
Yeah,
What would be the parameters for that?
mostly it would be a conflict of interest. That's where we typically see it. And that's, those are tricky because I'm happy to provide advice and to kind if you're not sure whether you have a conflict or not, you can come talk to me and I'm happy to kind of work through the law and the rules with you. But it's ultimately up to you individually to determine whether you have a conflict of interest. The risk is if somebody has a conflict of interest, doesn't believe they do, so doesn't recuse themselves, and we go on to pass a resolution or an ordinance, it could be challenged at a later time. And if a court were to find that there was in fact a conflict of interest, it could invalidate the action of council. So, again, I would love to be able to talk to you about that situation if it ever arises, but it's ultimately going to be a you decision, not a me decision or a mayor decision. So. Okay.
And then also, you mentioned as council members that we can add something to the agenda. So can we talk just a little bit more about how a council member would go about doing that? Would you like us to submit that to the mayor? Does that get submitted to Shelley? Would you like us to go about doing that?
Yeah, and again, it's your council, so your rules, however you guys want to do this. Typically, and Cindy's been around, knows better than I do, but typically my understanding is the department heads will suggest items to go on the agenda. Those get discussed at our weekly meetings. Shelley kind of puts it together based on that, and then any direction from the mayor for other items. And then I think we allow any council member to add something to the agenda currently. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I believe you're right. And I would say that if that's the case, I would think you would probably want to work through Mike because it needs to be on some kind of a resolution. There needs to be a format. We should follow the formats that we already have. So you could work through Mike and he could, probably create that and then plug it on that way. Because I mean, it's your meeting. You guys can add an agenda item to it. I just would like to see it just for continuity and for consistency to be in the same format and be under the same process. So it could be then submitted on the agenda, goes out to everybody the same way. Those things, typically, most of the items that come before you have gone through some kind of a committee review, so that they have a committee recommendation. There's for several years now, there's been discussion about revising, and I don't think anyone's had the time to do it, but revise that cover sheet to make that a little bit different and maybe talk about maybe the council committees, what their thoughts are on it. So that goes out to the public as well. And that might be something that we might want to think about. That would be pretty, add some more transparency to the process.
Right.
And then what's the deadline so I guess part of the problem with getting something on the agenda too is that we want to make sure you all have time to review something so that you're not getting hit with it at the last second. Not to say you can't add something last second. You can add something in the middle of a meeting. Today being an exception because it's a special meeting. Well, you can talk about anything today. You just couldn't take official action on anything today.
The deadline is
But
a Shelley.
Wednesday?
That's a Shelley.
We asked all the department heads to have everything to meet on Wednesday, so I have time to compile it, make sure that we have everything that we in it for it to be dispersed Thursday afternoon. And I like to do that earlier in the afternoon. I shoot for earlier Thursday afternoon. Amendments, if you want to talk about amending an agenda, that's always an option.
Yeah, typically at the begin, it's best to do it at the beginning of the council meeting. Technically, you don't have written rules. So at any point, all the way until we're adjourned, anybody could make a motion to amend the agenda to add something that they want to talk about. And that can happen the day of. It's just best practice to get it in so that Shelley can get it on that agenda the Wednesday before. Because if you come, I mean, again, you could technically come in with a 30-page, resolution that you want your peers to vote on. But if they haven't had a chance to look at it yet, then I mean, you might not be successful, and we want to set you up for success. So
Could you share with us the pros and cons of why we should have our own procedures or not have them? Because we keep going back around it.
We're coming to that.
Okay,
We're coming
okay,
to
great.
that's the next, yeah.
Okay, great. Like,
I'm a big advocate for written rules. Most city councils have written rules. And funny you should mention,
Pass
back
them out.
in
Pass them out.
2009, there were some draft rules that were put together. I don't know if they ever made it to council for a vote. They were kind of shelved for a long time. And then about 3 years ago, Mark Schuler pulled them back up, made some suggestions to it. And then when I came on full time about 2 years ago, he asked me to take a look, and I kind of just did a pass through on these. So all of that to say, I have no pride of authorship in this. Okay. This is just an idea of some written rules. And so I think it's mostly would be as a discussion point, whether this is, I think Mark and whoever drafted it originally tried to follow the way we do things, but to have it in writing, there are a couple things in here that are different than the way you do it now. A lot of things in here are required by statute. And so you'll see some citations to the RCWs. It's probably missing some citations that I would want to go back and add. One of the big differences with this proposal is it includes what's called a consent agenda. A lot of city councils use that. That's meant to be for very routine kind of things, approving minutes, expenses, anything that the mayor has signed during the month under $10,000. It often will include contracts and resolutions. And the benefit of that is if they're not controversial items, you just knock them all out at once. They're part of the consent agenda. They're still included in the council packet so the public can see all the documents and everything. No different than any other time. It would just kind of help to streamline your meetings. The other nice thing about the consent agenda is any single council member can remove an item from that consent agenda. So even if there's just one person who says, hey, I want to have some discussion about this, you can pull it out of there and then it just goes into the agenda in the normal course. I mean, there's pros and cons to that. It definitely would make the meeting run more quickly for some of the more routine things. You just don't get the same level of discussion from the department head and the explanation of this is what we want to do and why we want to do it and all of that. So it's an idea. A lot of councils use that. I think this draft would have 2 readings of ordinances as opposed to 3, just again, trying to streamline things, and then you can look through it. I don't know. I've got an electronic version of this I shared with Shelley as well. She can send that out to you guys. You can decide what you want to do. If you guys are completely opposed to having written rules, that's fine. We can go the way we've gone. If you want to do written rules, I'm happy to kind of be the master of the document and sort of help track changes if you want to reach out to me with comments or ideas, things like that. I think the idea is just to have it in writing so that everybody's on a level playing field and everybody kind of knows the rules in advance or where to find them. And again, it would still have the fallback of, and it's in the first paragraph, that if something's not covered by this, then we'll defer to Robert's rules.
Mike was really saying very nicely that I told him
Yeah.
he was going to be the owner of this.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that you you, city council, will adopt some sort of written, this is very draft, but some sort of written rules, and to interface with Mike to get those changes that you want added to the draft so that you can review them. I do think it's helpful, so that we're all on the same page. And I think that is very helpful on everything, but particularly when you're trying to conduct business. There are some things in there that are really obvious because that's how they've always been done. There's some things that are changing and there's some things that are missing. So one thing that's currently missing is a social media policy. What was another thing that was missing?
My notes are in my.
I know.
office, Sorry.
Mine are
Yeah.
not in my office, but they're taking a long time to load. So there are some things that need to be added, and having an opportunity for you to review these, maybe ask why they're in there, maybe ask why they're not in there, and then add in things that are needed. There are some things that are different, like Mike said, and there are some things, like, for example, I'm even just looking at the procedure. An ordinance or resolution shall be prepared for presentation to the city council. No ordinance or resolution shall be prepared for presentation to the city council unless requested by the mayor or 3 council members. It sounds really strict, but basically the idea of that is it goes to committees first, and then the committee recommends it because there's 3 of you on a committee. That would be part of that procedure. So we could even reword that so it was clear, like from a committee. So something like that.
We probably need a little bit of procedure in each subcommittee meeting too, as well, to
Yeah.
advance that to the council.
Yeah, and your question earlier, currently it's been where you could bring something from a subcommittee to the agenda as well, or through a department head, or through the mayor, or like Mike said, the day of. But if you want something to be reviewed by all of council beforehand, it needs to be by that Wednesday.
So I just have a question. Would your no ordinance will be prepared unless it comes from subcommittee and so forth?
Yeah.
We also have budget ordinances, we have salary ordinances.
Totally.
Would you exclude those so those could just come forward as necessary?
Right, so that would need, yes, I mean, I would assume so, unless that wants to go through finance committee or,
Yeah,
Yeah.
oftentimes the budget, if there's a budget amendment that's needed, is there's an expense that's needed right away and it's a kind of a bam, bam. I let finance committee know. I've in the past communicated with the chair of finance committee, just via email, this is what I'm gonna do, boom, 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 but it hasn't gone to a full and then waited a meeting and then come, because that's gonna extend until you can, you're gonna
right,
delay being able to make purchases or get projects done.
That's
So-
exactly what I was thinking, because there are times where we don't
Yeah.
talk about something in the subcommittee meeting, but then I come to city council and it's there and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We just had a subcommittee meeting last week. We didn't talk about that. So what would we do procedurally
right.
about, because
Right.
Cindy's right, like our tractor broke. So,
Yeah.
the public works director's like, oh, we got to fix the tractor.
Yeah,
So it's
so-
like, we can't wait for a month before we go through a subcommittee meeting and blah, blah, blah. We need the tractor now. So it gets on the agenda really quick. So like, I think we got to figure
Yeah.
that out a little bit.
Exactly. And really the goal for this is to have written how we have been operating. I trust that you are all very capable humans and are going to we're going to conduct meetings with respect and decorum, but having it written down, then when you're not respectful, I can say, hey, you said you would be. I often compare it like coaching my kids' soccer team or even parenting, like, oh, of course you're on your walkie-talkie at 11:45 at night. I didn't tell you you couldn't be, but now that you know, now I can hold you to that standard. And that seems so dumb compared to this, but right, we've agreed to this. Now we all know. So we're just getting on the same page.
Maybe it could be also not so strict language,
Totally.
but
Totally.
more of a general statement that we would like most things to go to subcommittee
Mhm.
before they came to council, but it's not like the rule.
Yeah, I don't know how to write that in legalese, but
Right in
that's
exceptions.
that's my do.
Exceptions being,
Yeah.
or like a non-exhaustive list of exceptions.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So I guess in a sense, I'm giving you homework, not that you don't have a lot already, to work on this. And so if you would like an electronic copy, make some red line changes, Mike will email that to you. You can email it right back to him. Oh, just kidding. Shelley's already emailed it to you, so you can email it back to Mike.
And again, no pride of authorship. Feel free to tear it up,
Rip it apart.
rip it apart. Not my document.
I already did that.
Yeah.
So I already did like one little, Mike,
Ah.
this is not consistent review. And he was like, okay, so,
I have a question.
yeah.
I don't, so it's not in my personal email and I don't have access to any other email. It's
Same.
my,
Oh,
We don't have our laptops yet.
okay. We need to get on that.
I think we need to check with Miley to see if those two have been turned back in yet.
Okay.
Do you know if they have been? Do you know if they have been? Okay, so. Or why don't you send it to their city one? And I would recommend that you maybe call Miley tomorrow. Or I'll have Miley call you guys and see if once those are ready. I think she was working with Executech to get those all set up. And then I think you just have to swing by and pick them up.
they're in your
I'll send her an email right now. Find out where they are. Oh, Miley's hearing us all. She's like probably raising her hand to be like, just I'm on it. Thank you, Miley.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So-
Hi, guys.
Oh, great.
There she is.
I am listening. A ticket was created on Monday, and they're in the process of completing them. I do have the 2 laptops. They just have to pick them up.
Okay.
We have to pick them up. Or
Sounds
they're
like
ready
it.
for us to pick up.
When they're ready.
They are ready, Miley?
They're not ready yet, but they're in the process of doing it.
Okay,
So
and call them?
I believe they will be ready by Friday. Rebecca and Shelley, I will give you a call as soon as they're ready.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess I was just gonna mention, if you put stuff on your personal computer, then you're gonna have to do public records requests with your personal computer. So I would maybe suggest waiting till Friday.
And to help with that, this is not an urgent document, so
This is gonna be on our meeting, our council meeting next week.
no,
My suggestion would be route this through all the subcommittees.
agreed, yep.
Just
Yeah.
let
Yeah,
the
'cause then
comments,
each
that's-
subcommittee can add their specific bits to it
That's
too.
it.
There you go.
Then I'll have fewer edits to.
That's right.
There it is, subcommittee, so we won't even review it for a month.
I've gone through most of my notes. The one thing I just double checking it that I didn't mention with, again, my door's open. I'm available to all of you. One topic that that I'm particularly sensitive about discussing in an open forum is any litigation risk or liability. Generally, not a good idea for us to talk about that in public. If you've got questions about whether a proposed course of action could subject the city to liability, let's talk about it offline or in an executive session. But it is we call them bad facts. If we end up getting sued and somebody searches, council meeting minutes or looks at a video, and they can say, oh, see, they knew what they were doing would potentially make them liable. It's just not the time to go through it. If it's gotten to the point of it being before you for decision, you can assume that I've already looked at the litigation risk and discussed that at least with the mayor and with city staff, the department head, and then would be happy to discuss with you guys too, individually. So.
If something came up in the middle of a meeting and you felt like that needed to go into executive session, how would we procedurally do that? Does somebody need to call that forward, get a second? How would
Just
we
make
do
a
that?
motion to go into an executive session and then, yeah. That's
So
all.
we would just make a motion that we should talk about whatever we're talking about at the time.
Yeah.
In an executive session. Mayor would ask for a second. We would all vote on it and then we would do that later in the meeting.
Yep. And then, we have the site, you've got your cheat sheet, right, Shelley? So we could actually cite to the specific RCW section that allows us to do that.
Okay.
Motion to go into executive, you have to actually cite the RCW because there's very specific reasons that you can and cannot go into executive session. So when you read that, it has to be very specific, citing the RCW, why you want to go in, and you set your time limits and all of that.
And we can help with that on the fly too.
On the fly. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So I have one, so maybe this might fall into the rules that we may or may not pass. We had an incident maybe a year ago, I don't know. At some point in the last 2 years since I've been on council where a couple of folks jumped on Zoom for public comment.
Oh, yeah.
It's been happening in Airway Heights a lot, I heard.
Yeah, so my question is, do we have any, that, I mean, they get 2 minutes, right?
Right.
If they start saying some crazy things, do we have any recourse to cut them off?
It's hard because the First Amendment is very broad and people have a right to say very offensive things. And so because our past practice has been that we don't have restrictions on it, it would be very difficult for us right now to not just let them kind of go off. We can set rules on order and decorum, and of course, the mayor can maintain order and decorum. So yeah, that would be a good thing for us to put into council rules too.
So would that go into like these rules, like a code of conduct for everyone,
Public.
including public comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause there are few exceptions on when you can cut off somebody's First Amendment rights, basically. And in that particular case, we probably could have and ended that because it was not on the agenda, out of decorum, and just wholly inappropriate.
Yeah, there is a section in here about citizen comments, and I did make it clear that it says something about people unable to attend in person unless they are like they need the accommodation for disabilities or other conditions making coming to the meeting difficult. If they haven't requested an opportunity ahead of time, then there won't be public comment from the Zoom as an option to just prevent the, what are we calling, Zoom bombs or something? Yeah, so but they would still have the opportunity to email and have their comments read instead. But these are in the rules and totally up for discussion.
So is that something we're going to be doing moving forward, is when we receive public comment via email, will we start actually reading that on the record? Because we haven't
I think
previously.
we
Haven't
can.
done that,
We
yeah.
haven't.
We
Okay, well,
Probably should.
it would be
Yeah,
great if we did,
because
yeah.
the public doesn't get the emails to the comments
Yeah,
like we
Yeah.
do, but
so
That's-
again,
That sometimes you'll get a 3-page email.
Yeah.
If you want Shelley to read a 3-page email.
well.
if it's
yeah,
within the
2
2-minute time limit, sure.
Want to say, so-and-so spoke about this topic as opposed to this, because this has happened in other cities where 100 people have sent 3-page emails and they have had 7-hour meetings reading the emails.
So that's where we would put it
Yeah.
in here, how we would handle those sort of situations, but
Decide to, like, do you want to have like a summarized list of what that is, or make that part of your minutes as well? Or, I mean,
And
you guys have all the
Yeah.
options, but just keep in mind that there are times when it will take over your meeting. If someone really has an issue that.
my only concern is we don't have a way of summarizing people that are here in person that are also exercising that same privilege. So how do we make sure that we're being equitable in that time?
So during the COVID world, a lot of things happened in COVID, but in that case, we used to get a lot of emails. That's when we started the council comments email address. And so then that's when I was still a city clerk. And so I would go through and who it was, what they were addressing, this and this and this, and then I would hand that to the mayor. And then that was also included. And I don't think we read those. And that maybe could have been read that way, commenting, positively on this, negatively on that, and then just attach that perhaps in the minutes, or there might be a way to go about that too, to address what you're saying. But also I understand that it is nice to know, how do you guys know if there's 10? I mean, yeah, we forward them to you guys and you guys read them, but these people out here, they don't know anything about that. So.
Kelly, I think you're up.
Just another thing about the email thing. Would it be good as well? Sometimes an email, because I've read them for 4 years now, sometimes the person is just asking to send us an email. I don't think they really care that it's read publicly. So maybe it would behoove us to somebody to get back to them and say, would you like this to be a public comment at our city council meeting? Or do you just want the council to have this information? That might be helpful as well,
That's not a
because
bad idea.
some of them, I think, that wasn't in their mind. They just wanted us to know something. Hey, there's a pothole on Third Street. Thanks.
Right. We don't necessarily.
Okay,
I
yeah.
guess just to follow up on Mark's comment, if you don't mind, I guess from my perspective, I've also been reading quite a few of them over time too. And I think from efficiency perspective, if we have, let's say, 10 email comments and some are pro and against, I think we can summarize them, but generally speaking, we all get these email comments and they are part of the public record once they get sent to us.
Yes.
So I guess I don't personally see the necessity to read them out. If we're gonna summarize them, if there's a land development and there's pros and cons and we want to summarize it, that's fine. But to read each email as public comment,
Could we then attach it to the agenda documents if we get it in time? That way we're still making sure that the public has access to it without having to go through the hassle of submitting a public records request. Because if it comes to our email, that's a public records request. That's not just
Yeah.
available to everybody.
And that's,
I would attach it to the minutes because there's a lot of times we'll get comments.
That makes sense, too. Yeah.
That I shoot off to you guys, or something like that. You don't always get those.
Yeah.
I think there's better ways.
And I think it even
But
stipulates that you have to have it in by like 5 PM day of council, but we could
we
also
could move
make
that up to
adjustment to that
Wednesday
too.
before, right?
If they'd like it included in the packet or
and
something.
again, I would advocate in title form.
Yeah.
We're not here to read 2-page emails or 3-page emails. If, again, going back to the COVID days, there was a lot of emails. It doesn't make sense.
Let's not go back to COVID things.
So I just pulled out I pulled out an old resolution and an old ordinance, just so we can kind of talk about what those are. I did change them, so there was obviously no confusion that there was any action being taken. And so typically what happens now is the directors will come up, they'll present their resolution, they'll tell you what they're asking for. There's usually a dollar amount in there. And then when it goes to you for discussion, and that's that back and forth with your directors, and you're ready to pass it, it's how you say that is a motion to pass resolution, blah, 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 blah. And then there's a second, and then you go to pass it. But it's important to get that resolution number in there because that's the documentation, right? So then when it comes to ordinances, the same thing, your director is gonna present that to you. When we talk about reading title and summary form only, that bolded all in caps, that's the title that I read to you when we go through the readings. Obviously, this is a budget ordinance. I took a bunch of stuff out, so on the back, you'll see none of Cindy's awesome formulas are working out because I took a bunch of stuff out instead of having a 3 or 4 page ordinance there. Again, a lot of times those additional readings are for public comment. And so your director will bring that forward, you read it once, and then there's a deferral of that vote. So there's really 2 votes every time an ordinance comes before you. One for the reading, and then one to either defer or vote on it.
So let's do it. I would entertain a motion for the passage of resolution 00000.
So moved.
Second.
Wait, don't you? Oh, yeah, okay, so moved. So you didn't have to say it.
Yep.
Very good. Okay,
But then you're making a motion on so. It's kind of a pitfall.
okay.
You can kind of do it, but it's more.
Is it
appropriate
allowed?
to say that.
Mike, is it allowed?
I mean, technically you could get, as long as you're saying the resolution
Okay.
number, then that's fine.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
We don't like blah, blah, blah.
I tried to be as
Very-
generic as I
That's
possibly
good.
could.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so then I'm not even sure if I can do the ordinance one correctly.
Mark can.
Mark,
Mark got it.
He's gonna pull it up.
Your Honor, I move for the first reading of ordinance 00-000 entitled in summary form only, and subsequent readings be provided to council at subsequent meetings. Did I?
Yes.
We'll have a cheat sheet.
Y-27,
Uh-huh.
some reform only. And then depending on if you want the second or third, you would say that reading to be considered the second or second and third, and then placed before us for final passage.
Oh, but I think you were making the motion for it to be
Just
just the first reading, correct?
Right, correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
For the
So
second.
you have two options. Some only, and then you can say subsequent meetings, or you can say defer to a future meeting,
Right.
whatever. you
Okay.
call it. But-
Or I can say,
Tell us.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Your Honor, I move for the first reading of ordinance XX entitled in summary form only, and the first to be considered the second, and the second to be considered the third, and placed before us for final passage.
Excellent.
Second.
Second. And so
All in
all in favor of this being presented before you? All
Aye.
opposed?
I'll be nay.
Okay, so there's enough to pass. So
So
then,
then
Then,
I would
yeah.
read it,
Mhm.
an ordinance amending section 2 of ordinance 00000, amending the budget for the city of Cheney, Washington for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and providing for the effective date hereof.
and then do you do the roll call or do I?
Then you.
So I'm gonna throw you off for a little bit because we're gonna do this the way we're sitting today. In future meetings, you will sit by council position. So position 1 will be here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're getting we're gonna do it today in the wrong order. But that's for fun. Councilmember Long.
So I say
Say aye or
Aye or nay?
aye.
Councilmember Han.
Aye.
Councilmember Bartels.
Aye.
Councilmember Bealock.
Nay.
Councilmember Nazaro.
Nay.
Councilmember Labar.
Aye.
Councilmember Postuma.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Like this ordinance passed? No, motion carries. Okay. Good job.
Yeah, and I think
all did?
you can say ordinance whatever passes,
Okay.
or ordinance
Okay.
whatever
Okay.
fails. Yeah.
Ordinance
Just.
00000 passes. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna botch that so many times, you guys.
Can I ask just a quick question? Because we did kind of bring up forms and how to submit resolutions and that sort of stuff. And that there is a pretty typical form that everybody uses. Do we have access to that template?
Oh, for the council action? I don't see why you couldn't.
Okay.
I think it needs to be reworked, though. I think there's a lot of awkward space where we used to, go down and have to have all these people sign it. It's all electronic now. So I would imagine that perhaps, yeah, I don't see why you couldn't, Mike. Yeah.
Rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I
When,
think it's,
when
Get it
does,
down.
when does council need to sign? What things does council sign? Because they don't sign ordinances and resolutions.
No.
So what's the thing we pass around and they sign?
You'll sign the expenditure document that is approving so that by signing it, because you'll approve all the expenditures. So there's one for payroll and there's one for vouchers. You'll approve vouchers every council meeting and payroll once a month. A finance committee looks at those first. They have a document in finance they sign. And then this come to you and you'll all sign that. That's really the only thing that council signs. The mayor is our only legal signatory at the city of Cheney. So anything that has to be signed has to be from the mayor. It can't be from me. It can't be from Mike. It can't be from Carrie. Has to be the mayor.
Get that a lot. Sometimes a department head will be like, hey, can I just sign this? Or especially if we're dealing with a very simple bid or contract submitted by the other side, they'll be like, well, I'm dealing with Chief Oaks, so I'm just going to plug his name in here to sign for the city. And so I just have to constantly remind them that the mayor's the only signature authority unless you as a council, when you approve something, you authorize that other person to sign, but we don't like to do that. So it's better if the mayor is the signature authority.
Any other questions? Okay, this is my like 3 minutes, maybe. Do I have even 3? 4. And also just a reminder to take things through your subcommittees. And you all know which subcommittees you're in, maybe not yet because they're in your emails sitting on your laptops. Okay, great. And so like hash it out, ask a million questions, talk it through in your subcommittees. And the way that we structured it, well, I structured it, is that each subcommittee has someone from it on the finance committee. So there should hopefully be some communication between, in some form or another, between committees in that regard. Does that sound good? Okay. Too many things. Vision. Just want to share a brief vision with you. If I can work my phone. Oh my gosh, stop. Because I wrote it on a notepad and then had to take a picture so I could share it with you. Just a reminder that we are all on the same team here and we all bring different perspectives, which is something that I'm really grateful for. When I first considered running for mayor, someone was like, that's a lot of responsibility. You have so many decisions to make. And I looked at them and I was like, actually, there's 7 people here who are making decisions. And I'm really, really thankful for that because each of you bring a unique perspective, a different mindset. Some of you are more analytical. Some of you are more just the way our brains work is all different. I remember observing a city council meeting probably, I've observed many of them, but it was probably about a year ago. And the light department's asking for something. And I'm looking and there's people, all 7 people up here, very different political perspectives, jobs, ages, all of it. And they're asking for something that would serve our city well. And everyone was like, of course. Yes. Right. And that happened every time over the meeting. And that is very common. But for some reason, that particular meeting, it just hit me like, wow, we have a really amazing council. Like they are really for our city. So first of all, thank you for being for our city and please continue that. So my brief vision that I want to share with you is, and I'd like at some point to work through this with you and really hash it out and write it down to articulate it and make our comprehensive plans and our water plans and all of our plans are guiding documents on how to achieve our vision. And so my real hope is that Cheney would be a connected community where people and families and businesses thrive in vibrant neighborhoods, accessible by foot, car, bike, always, where we have safe water, streets, and public spaces, and robust quality education, social and cultural opportunities for all ages and abilities. And that's super wordy. So I tried to condense it for us that Cheney would be livable, our community and our culture would be very livable. Cheney would be accessible, including our transportation and technology use. And then that it would be sustainable, our investments financially and in our people and in our infrastructure. So I like a little bit of alliteration there. Obviously, that's my vision for our city. And I hope that we can, as a team here, guide our city towards that. So yeah, I guess I think it was I saved it for last, but now we're all ready to check out. So hopefully we all heard that. But with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I can just conclude it?
Yeah.
We don't actually.
Okay. I love this so much. Meeting adjourned.
It became kind of an inside joke.
Okay. I was like, do we really have to?
No.
Okay, cool. Conclude. Oh, yes. Yes.
That we're gonna pick it back up.
That's true.
Right, yeah.
Meeting concluded. All right. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for coming. I know some of you were probably bored out of your minds. Yeah.
Thursday.
I got to, I know, I got to go to work.
Thursday.
Time yesterday.
Oh.
Exciting.
I read too long without